नमस्ते एवरीबॉडी। हमारे पहले जो वक्ता थे उन्होंने क्लासिफिकेशन कर दिया यूनियंस का। मैं नहीं जानता हूँ मैं कहाँ बैठता हूँ, हेड ऑन वाला हूँ कि बाईपास वाला हूँ, आई डोंट नो। तो जब यहाँ पहला स्पीच हुआ ओपनिंग, तो उसमें जो कहा गया तो I realized that that is the concept note that was being read. Because I read that again and again before coming here. I didn't know what to say in front of a gathering like this. So I'll begin with that. The challenges that have been mentioned there in that concept note. I have a small presentation. We'll go run through that. Yeah, on कर दिया? Okay. The key challenges that have been mentioned in that concept note are skill gap and upskilling. A significant portion of our workforce faces the specter of unemployment unless they can adapt through reskilling or upskilling by 2027. Now, this relates to education policy, according to me. The new education policy that has been brought in doesn't really support this. You must have heard that in the restructuring of schools, right from primary up, a lot of schools are being closed down. A lot of young students in far-flung areas, tribal people, will lose opportunity to go to school at all. As you go further up, there is privatization in a big way of even higher learning. And that puts education out of your budget. It costs too much. It should be really funded by the government, but as you heard in the earlier lecture, everything is being handed over, including education, higher education, and therefore this is going to be a problem. Why 2027 is mentioned, I don't know, is going to be a problem per se. Technology disruption. The relentless pace of technological advancement threatens to alter job landscapes and potentially trigger unemployment crisis. Now, there are ways of looking at it. If technology changes, your productivity goes up. If that happens, either you can reduce manpower and get the same work done through a smaller number of workers, or you can reduce working time and get the same production. So it depends on which way you look at it. In that lecture earlier, it was said that the first convention of ILO was for 8-hour workday, 48 hours a week. That was news to me that for India, ILO had said 10 hours. I didn't know that. I thought of ILO Convention 1 as 8-hour workday. These days, there are amendments to that Factory Act which say that instead of 8 hours, you can take 12 hours of work. Now, if with this technology upgradation and 12-hour work, there will be even a smaller number of workers on the job. So the whole movement is reducing the workforce. He said that all the permanent jobs are going down and replaced by a few contract workers, not the same number. One-to-one replacement is not there. For 2 workers, 1 contract worker comes in. And with technology, probably it will go down further. So I'm saying that it depends on your viewpoint, how you look at that technological upgradation. I'll not call that disruption, technological upgradation. Then changing labor laws. The evolution of labor laws presents a unique challenge in maintaining harmony between employers and employees. Four labor codes, fixed term employment. Now, these are the things that have come in. How does that pose a challenge for employers? I don't know. Because this has been brought in for ease of doing business. These labor codes are supposed to be easy on the businesses. For example, one labor code, that's called Industrial Relations Labor Code, which subsumes Trade Union Act. There will be no trade unions at all. You cannot register a trade union the way it is coded. That thing takes away right to form a union, practically. So how is it a challenge? I don't know. Then fixed term employment. That's another thing. If an employee is employed for a fixed term, he agrees to certain conditions of employment and also agrees to a last date of his employment in that establishment. Then how is he going to approach to the union? He will not come to the union. So these two things are totally against union, and if that union formation, and if that happens, then there will be nobody to talk to employers on behalf of the workers. That is what will happen. Effective contract labor management. The specter of ineffective contract labor management looms large, posing operational and ethical concerns. I don't know what exactly the concern is. This is a point in that concept note. What is being sought? Effectively managing contract labor. What's that? I don't know. Does it mean you want to manage the contractors so that they remain in line, or further help the employer? Because those things I'll not go into, because probably you know the relation between the employer, the contractor, and his people that he has brought in. There is absolutely no assurance of continued employment. You raise a voice, out you go. Further, it's a regular practice, may not surprise you at all, that when these days you have to pay a contract worker through his bank account. So all the money is transferred to his bank account, but the ATM card is with the contractor, not the contract employee. So you can imagine what's happening there. So what exactly is meant by this concern of GEO, or I don't know what exactly is the concern. But I'll go back. I'll seek your indulgence to go through. There are other 6 slides. You might find them too elementary. कि भाई हमको तो ये सब मालूम है, ये क्या दिखा रहे हो? But let's have a look at it. Okay. I have taken an example of a cycle repair shop by the roadside. Take an example. He is named A and he is repairing cycles by the roadside. Suppose he earns 100 rupees a day, spends 80 rupees on his household, and saves 20 rupees a day, just by the roadside. This we have seen. After 6 months, he'll save about 3,600, if my calculation is correct, about that much. So he buys another set of tools that he needs, which he uses usually for repair work. I've shown a toolbox. But with that toolbox just lying by his side, he'll not earn anything, because he has a toolbox of his own. He's working with that. But because of his saving, he bought another one. Here he employs a man named B, gives him this set of tools. He also starts repairing cycles side by side with that new set of tools. And this is just a hypothetical example. They both start earning 100 rupees each, because with that set, he can do the work of what was done by A. So they both together earn 200 rupees a day. Now in today's society, this is quite acceptable that both A and B take 80 rupees for their respective households, 20 rupees remain. That total 40, which is the surplus of the day, that is also acceptable that A takes all that 40 because the set of tools is his. I think this is acceptable. ये होता है. अभी इसमें पूरा इकोनॉमिक्स लगा कि नहीं ऐसा नहीं होता है वगैरह वो बताओ. दिस जस्ट एन हाइपोथेसिस कि ऐसा वो करेंगे. Now what happens? Now that set of tools we can expand or extrapolate to encompass land, capital, machines. That is the basis of factory. ये तमाम वो जो था A, he may not own this, but he may take land on rent, he can take money from the bank, borrow it, or he may have all that ancestral property वो लगा के वो factory चालू कर देता है. But again, like that set of tools, if the workers are not there, this will not function. वो धुआं नहीं निकलेगा वहाँ से. This will not function. So you have to have workers. You have to employ them there. And again, a surplus like in that cycle example, surplus here also will be there. That surplus will be apportioned into wages, bank interest, land rent, income tax, leaving some as profit for the person who set up the factory. Because again, the means of production, the factory, belongs to a person. He owns it. Therefore, the profit goes to him. This is acceptable in today's society. There's nothing wrong. ये चल रहा है आज की सोसाइटी में. अब आगे जाएंगे. So this surplus, without the labor, as I said, there'll be nothing will roll. The factory will be just lying silent. Nothing will move. But if you think that because that technological disruption that was talked about, suppose you employ technology completely, then your product will not be sold because you have to have some money in with the people so that they can buy the product of that factory. And that is what, if that is not there, the market goes down. Recently, the Indian economy was in doldrums because there was no demand. Even now there is not demand. That's recession. So you have to pay. You can't have a scene where the entire thing is done by machines. एक हमने वीडियो देखा था, मर्सिडीज कार का प्रोडक्शन चल रहा है. वो फैक्ट्री शॉप में there were robots in the entire production line. वो व्हील्स फिट कर रहे हैं, वो टॉप फिट कर रहे हैं, वो विंडशील्ड फिट कर रहे हैं वगैरह वगैरह. पूरा होके रोल होता है मर्सिडीज कार. तब वर्कर आता है और वो जो स्टार है मर्सिडीज का वो आगे लगाता है, उसको पूछता है, दैट्स इट, दैट्स हिज जॉब. ऐसे नहीं चलेगा. दिस इज जस्ट अ थिंग दैट वाज शोन. बट आप ये नहीं कर सकते कि दैट एंटायर थिंग इज टेकन ओवर बाय मशीन्स. इज नॉट प्रैक्टिकल. नाउ I have said this is also a scene of COVID time and all that, where people were, governments were giving money in the hands of people so that the markets remain active. I have mentioned Abhijit Banerjee. He was here during that time. He said, give money in the hands of people, only then the economy will move. तो ये पैसा लोगों के हाथ में होना चाहिए. अभी आजकल एक नया ये आया है, बात चल रहा है. That is basic minimum income. Isn't that right? Basic minimum income. That is being talked about. लेकिन we'll come back to that कि आप क्या कर रहे हैं. Basic minimum income देकर you are keeping money in the hands of people so that the markets roll. Now let's look at what you produce in that factory and how much you take as profit and how much you pay as wages. That is the division taking place right from that cycle repair shop. This division, Oxfam, at every World Economic Forum in Davos, it comes out with figures of relative portion of wealth going to different strata of population in each country. it includes India. In January 23, their figures for India are like this. 5% of the Indians own 60% of country's wealth, while bottom 50% own only 3%. That is the gap between rich and poor. If that goes on increasing, then this will be, this will be unstable. This cannot continue. And trade unions, the role of trade unions, is to try for a fair distribution of this wealth. It shouldn't be too extreme like this. This is the present condition, that 5% own 60% of country's wealth, and 50% own only 3%. That is the scene right now. This should be balanced. That is why the trade unions are there. You must have heard of a new trend that has come out of this World Social Forum. Rich people are saying, tax us now. That's what's being said, tax us. The gap is too much. So take money and use it for people's welfare. Tax us now. That's the movement that has started from there. Now think of this scene that we talked about, the basis of a factory, the means of production, land, capital, machines are owned not by an individual or shareholders, but by government. That's what you call public sector establishments. Here also workers work, just like in any private sector, but here surplus belongs to the state and not an individual. वो जो distribution of wealth, not in that fashion, but here it stays with the government or the state, which can be used for society's benefit. This is the difference. And you saw, you heard, everything is being now privatized. The last speaker said that Air India is sold. That's just one example. There is a whole pipeline. It's called monetization pipeline, where everything that is public is put into that pipeline, and there are people who will take what comes out and use it for their own profit and give some rent probably for using those assets to the government. Monetization pipeline. So this is what's happening. These are the things that I have shown. Now the role of the unions. As pointed out, I claim to be none of those four categories. we are I belong to All India Trade Union Congress, the first trade union in India, and all the people of all ideologies used to be working in that AITUC, and I wish that the same AITUC, pre-independence AITUC, comes back again, so that this distribution of wealth that is created is more fair for the people who work. We have faced all that, जो अलग-अलग categories उन्होंने दिखाया, because all those trends were at some time or the other were backed by the government in power or by employers. The violence that was there, that we have faced in Bombay. He mentioned Datta Samant's name. Our unions, our activists have been killed. This Shiv Sena, they started that violence in the industrial scene, totally backed by the government of that time. So all that we have experienced. So we really are for that tripartite dialogue. We want to sit across with the management and the government, the labor commissioners, and resolve those issues. We send our charter of demands, that's usual. If they sit across and talk it over, we can have peaceful production that can go on. But what happens, in fact, this is ILO's basic thing, tripartite dialogue. But that hasn't taken place in this government, the new Modi government, since 2015. We just keep on saying, please hold that talk. Have that tripartite meeting. That ILC, Indian Labour Conference, is supposed to be held every year at least once. From 2015, no meeting. All those labor laws, labor codes should be discussed there. They should have discussed it, sit across the table and discuss it. What is needed for this thing, for ease of doing business? Okay, that's the idea, for ease of doing business. But that idea could be put across the table and discussed with us. But that has not been done, that dialogue, if it is not there. Then, as he said, that things may come to it'll just erupt. Things will go out of hand. And there will be no, what shall I say, no way to channel the workers' expectations and bring them forward and have some solution. That will not be done. But that's not happening. We have been trying again and again. We have an example, farmers' laws. Those people sat outside of Delhi for a whole year. They weathered the entire period, lost about 750 people. Farmers died there. And ultimately the government had to withdraw it. People say that, why don't the workers do it? It's wrong to have this kind of comparison. What farmers can do, you can't do. Here we have migrant workers. Here, as rightly said, the strength of the unions has really gone down. I don't mind admitting that today, AITUC and all the other unions put together, there are now totally 12 which are recognized by the government as central trade unions, all put together, do not have membership of more than 7% of the total workforce. That is where we stand. And out of that also, contract workers are not in the union at all. As I said, if they are seen with us, our company is bad as far as the employers are concerned. They lose job. So we can't be seen with them at the factory gate. If at all, we have to go to their bastis and talk to them, tell them about the union. But this is where matters stand right now. They are out of the purview of contract laborers, of the unions, and very few unions with permanent workers. You must have heard recently, it was in the news, in Haryana, in Manesar, Gurgaon, one union in some company, Bill Corporation or something like that. That union took a couple of contract workers as their union members. And the company complained to the labor commissioner and trade union registrar, and he cancelled the registration of that union itself. Why? Because the union enrolled couple of contract workers as their union members. Now, if that is the attitude taken by the power that be, then things won't. This is really muzzling up the voice of workers. You don't allow them the channel of trade union at all. Then what do? Then some violence takes place, and you say that the workers are violent. So ये ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. You can't have both. I don't want to stress this point much. You know this since you are all HR people and IR people, that there should be a channel of peaceful talk. That is all that we expect. We should have this in mind, that what is being generated, the wealth, that wealth cannot be without the participation of workers. This has to be there in mind. You cannot have an idea where all the workers are kept out and all the production takes on with machines. Another thing that is there is a multiplicity of unions. What do you do about that? They fight among themselves. About that, right from the beginning, when this the union recognition law came in 46, at that time when it was being discussed in the assembly in Maharashtra. At that point of time, you may have heard Comrade Dange's name. He fought tooth and nail saying that this is not the way recognition should be granted. Let workers have the right of secret ballot. But that is not allowed. A whole process is prescribed where you have to go show your membership on paper, show your bank accounts, the contending union also does the same, and then some officer will decide who is who and decide that recognition. The history has been those who didn't have any backing of workers, in fact, were recognized. And those who had the backing were not recognized. That's the scene of Bombay mills. Every time the recognized union didn't have any people with them, and the unrecognized union, the workers, were with Comrade Dange. They used to fight. Settlement used to be arrived at, but it was signed by the other union which was recognized. So this is, if you do this, keep on doing this, this is not good. All that they are saying is, let there be secret ballot. Let the workers choose. This kind of thing, I'll just give one instance and stop. These stalwarts of AITUC, one Comrade Ramarao was there, who is to lead the union of Crompton Greaves in Bombay. And there, with violence, some 4 workers were killed, and afterwards, the workers there, they changed allegiance from AITUC to Datta Samant's union. After 4 years of his handling the union and all that, they again shifted back. They came to AITUC. So during that time, he had taken recognition of the union. It was a recognized union under the law. There's a law called MRTU and POLP Act in Bombay, Maharashtra Recognition of Trade Unions. It doesn't allow any secret voting. So he was recognized. The workers came back. When they came back, the management said, we can't talk with you. The recognized union is Datta Samant's union. So he said, okay, fine. Don't talk to me. But my workers have decided to go on strike. So the workers went on strike. The wheels of the Crompton Greaves stopped. Datta Samant had the recognition, but the work stopped. The management came around and said, okay, talk to us and settle this issue. So this is what he meant by recognition of a union. If the workers are with us, we are there. If they are not there, we are not there. We will not trouble you. So the workers have to be with us. Only then our union has any standing in that factory, and then we'll talk. So the management came and said, what do? We will talk to you, but we can't sign with your union the settlement that has been done. He said, okay, don't sign with us. Sign with each individual that we have, what we have arrived at. So probably in the history of trade union movement, some 4,000 settlements were signed in Crompton Greaves. Each individual, he signed his own settlement. And that's how this was, and then Datta Samant went out. But what we are saying is, we are for dialogue. We expect that you also come forward and have that dialogue. Let the government do what they want to do. Let them think of ease of doing business in their own way. But if we want our industry to go quietly and peacefully, having more and more production, and also welfare of the workers, then we have to talk, is all that I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I request you to please stay back for a little more while. We have some time, so we can take a few questions and answers. In case you have any questions, you can please raise your hands, and the volunteers would give you the mic. Yeah, we have a question over there. Can somebody please pass on the mic?
I can hear you.
have gone through your session, but I would like to bring something in light. What about IR code? IR code, four levels are being merged in IR code. One is Industrial Employment Standing Order Act. Second is Trade Union Act. Third is Industrial Dispute Act, and fourth is BIR Act. If you go to Trade Union Act, there is a provision of registration, not recognition. If you go to Industrial Dispute Act, there is no provision of recognition. Only by BIR Act, that is Bombay Industrial Relations Act, has a provision of recognition of union. So IR Code brought over four acts together, and they have given provision of recognition. So first thing is that the IR code which government is going to implement is not in favor of employer, but it is also in favor of employees, because they are balancing both the sides by bringing up the IR code. This is my view. Thank you.
No, any other questions? That I need not. I'll bunch up all the things, and because I'm told we are short of time. So, any other question? Okay. As I said, the IR code doesn't provide for secret ballot. If secret ballot is not there, then I told you in BIR Act, the recognition is by a process where an investigating officer looks at your records, the contending union's records, gives a report, and you can have arguments before an industrial court. That industrial court ultimately grants. I will give you an instance. Again, it doesn't relate to what I'm trying to say is, if you don't have that secret ballot, what happens? There is a company called Force Motors in Pune. There, a recognized union was X. I'll not take names. X. Another union, it happened to be AITUC union. The workers became members of that other union. This process started. This MRTU Act is just a reflection of BIR Act. No secret ballot. And there, the earlier union, they lost. They lost in the industrial court. The company had, without asking the workers, had deducted that earlier union's membership from their wages. The workers went to court and they got all their money back with interest. So during that time, it was quite obvious that they didn't have any membership whatsoever. The industrial court fined them also because they showed membership, they showed bank account and so on. The whole thing went to High Court. They challenged it. I can understand they challenging it, but the company also challenged it. So both went to High Court. And in High Court, they won, we lost. On the point of our constitution saying, we had said that all the industries are can become workers from all industries can become members. So he says that it doesn't say Force Motors. So your constitution doesn't say that these workers can become. What I'm telling is that the industrial code also, IR code, doesn't have that provision of secret ballot. So there are ways and means of not, rejecting this thing, rejecting true representation of workers. That's one. Number two, that change in or subsuming Trade Union Act in IR Act, that change you must mark. It says that, first of all, to register a trade union, you can't have 7 members as usual earlier. Now you have to have 100 or 1% of the total, minimum 100 or 1% of the total workers working in that. The thing is raised. The threshold for registering a union is raised. Number 2, there is this thing given, percentage of workers for whom what is it called? The authorized trade union to discuss with the management. Negotiating union. So you have to have 50% or more. If it is not there, none of them have, then you have to have at least 30%. Now this is something, if there are no unions, but there is a group, small group, then aren't you going to talk to them at all? I mean, these are conditions where unions are straddled with all kinds of conditions before they can officially talk to the management. That's one. Then that is one IR only that you are talking about. I talked to you about fixed term employment. If that becomes the practice, where is the question of any trade union and registration of any union? Nobody is going to come to the union because you are fixed term employed. Now this fixed term employment, again there is a history. This is not the first time that fixed term employment came. It came in the earlier government also. It was challenged by us. This cannot be a part of, it was removed also. Again it was reinstated in the new government. Because of ease of doing business. I mean, they justify everything from this point of view, ease of doing business. Now, this has to be understood very clearly. Ease of doing business is not suppressing workers. That's a wrong philosophy. This is what I'm saying.
These clause is basically inserted for restricting multi-unionism and union rivalry.
It's like throwing the baby with the bath water. Here there is no union, no rivalry, but that's not the way. There will be different unions, I accept. But the way to choose is to have a secret ballot. You have so many parties. You don't say that this is a multiplicity of parties. Okay, there are parties, and we have secret ballot and choose a government majority. What's wrong with that? It's okay, we have to go with that. But there is a Supreme Court judgment saying that if you allow this secret ballot in union recognition, पूरा क्या बाजार हो जाएगा. A Supreme Court judge saying that is odd. अगर वो बाजार हो रहा है तो अपना पूरा देश का बाजार हो रहा है. How can you oppose secret ballot by this kind of argument? But Supreme Court has done that. Supreme Court to Supreme Court है ये. तो this argument is wrong. कि there will be union rivalry and there will be violence वगैरह वगैरह. अगर ये है तो जो चल रहा है आज देश में उससे अलग तो कुछ होगा नहीं. तो secret ballot should be allowed, that right should be given. Let the workers choose their own union freely. This is what I'm saying.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights. I request you to please be there for 1 more minute. I request Mr. K.K. Choksi, sir, to please come up on the stage and felicitate Mr. Sukumar Damle. Thank you so much, sir. Please accept this as a token of gratitude from the organizing committee of GEO. Please give him a huge round of applause. Thank you for your time and effort, sir. Thank you, sir.